I'm back with another video, and today we are going to demystify Azure Cloud Adoption Framework. There are so many videos we have already created on this, but this one is gonna be very special because we are going to break it down to absolutely smallest part of each phase with lots of examples, use cases, importance, and lots of good stuff that we can see in our agenda. So let's get started. All right. So see, this is the agenda, and that is the reason I'm saying why it's going to be special, why it will be a huge beneficial. Anyone who is going to watch this video would have a very deep and good understanding of CAF with lots of examples that we can easily relate and cement our knowledge as per each phases. So this is what we are going to cover in this video. We are going to understand the CAF. We are going to understand each and every phase. And then we'll understand each and every phase with the help of all the activities which is required in that particular phase, all the examples that we could grasp as per the real-time examples through all the experience that we had in past. And of course, what are the benefits of that particular phase? What could be the use cases that we can utilize that phase? And what is the importance, right? And what would happen if we do not follow that? So these things, if we go and dissect the phase, each phase of the CAF with these many questions, it will definitely get us something which is very important. Churning of milk gives you butter. That's what I was trying to say. Anyway, so let's get started with the very basic understanding of CAF first, because that's how we should start. And with this slide, and this is not it, do not just close the video. This is just the beginning. And afterwards, once we have a very fine overview of CAF, then we'll dissect each and every phases. As you see, CAF consists of many phases: strategy, plan, ready, adopt, which has migrate, innovate, govern, manage. These are the phases that we need to understand. But if somebody asks, what is CAF? In that scenario, what we should explain? Well, it is essentially a guide provided by Microsoft to help business and organizations effectively and efficiently move to the cloud. See, cloud adoption. It is the guide to adopt the cloud effectively, efficiently. That's what it is in very simple terms. This is not only about Azure. You could utilize the same methodology for any cloud. This is a framework which is focused towards Azure, but it could be utilized for anything, right? Think of it as a roadmap or set of best practices designed to help you navigate your cloud journey. And let's try to break down these simple steps as you see. We'll go into the deep as we progress with the slide. Just for the overview, the strategy is something which helps you define your business motivation, desired business outcomes, and how moving to the cloud can align with support these kind of things, like what is happening, why it is happening, those kind of stuff. In planning, we think about what we have, the digital estate, whether our organization is aligned with this strategy or not. Do we have the skills? Do we have the plan in place? All those things. Readiness focuses on preparing your technical environment for the cloud. This includes setting up your Azure environment, configuring networking, ensuring compliance, or in a nutshell, landing zone. Then adopt consists of two phases: migrate and innovate. Adopt is basically when you are ready to move or you are started moving. So migration provides guidance on moving your existing applications and data to Azure, and innovation encourages you to think about how to leverage cloud technologies to innovate and create new solutions or improve existing ones. Innovation, right? Then governance offers advice on maintaining control over your cloud environments, its rules and regulations. Management focuses on the day-to-day operations of your cloud environment, including monitoring, security, backups, and updates. There should be one more phase, which is optimize, which is not here, not my fault, because this is the image I just borrowed from the Microsoft. I couldn't find one, but do not worry, I'm not going to miss it. I'm going to add optimize, which means once you have everything running on the cloud, once that option is done, you keep on optimizing it. You keep optimizing your cost, keep optimizing your security, you keep optimizing your Azure environment. So there is one more phase, optimize, and we are going to dissect each and every phase in our next slide. So let's start with the strategy. So strategy, let's explain strategy again, just to be in line with all other objectives that we have. So strategy phase focuses on defining business justifications and expected outcomes of adopting the cloud. It's very simple. Not simple actually. Just to understand, it's very simple. Business justification, expected outcomes. But to achieve that, that's not simple. You need to go through a lot of struggle, lot of meetings, lot of conversations with lots of people. So the strategy phase of Microsoft CAF is about understanding the big picture before you diving into the technical details. In simple terms, this helps you answer the why, the what, and who of your cloud journey. In simple words, determine the reasons for moving to the cloud is to cut cost, improve agility, innovate faster. You need to find why, right? And if we take a step back, all the technical stuff is for the business, right? You simply do not need the technical stuff without a business. Ultimately, somebody is making money out of it, right? So this is the business phase where you need to understand why business wants to go to the cloud and how moving to the cloud help the business achieve what he wants to achieve, business outcome. So why? The reason of moving to the cloud, we need to understand why. Is it for the cost? Is it to improve agility? Is it to innovate faster? Why we want to go to the cloud and how it could help our business. That is the what. Define outcomes you want. So why we are moving to the cloud and what outcomes we are expecting. Do you want to increase the revenue? Do you want to enhance the customer experience or perhaps improve operational efficiency? And then finally, who? Identify who in your organization will be affected and who will be responsible for the transition. So if you need to explain strategy in a simple words, this is not the technical phase but the business phase, where we need to understand why business wants to move to the cloud, then what outcome we are expecting or how this movement to the cloud can help the business, because ultimately somebody is making money out of the business. That's why there is the entire IT stuff is going on, right? And who, we need to identify who in our organization will be affected and who will be responsible for the transition. You should not, they are organization, they are in my past experience, I'm pretty sure people who are experienced in cloud architecture has seen where people just moving to the cloud, people are not aware who is getting impacted by it or not. So this is the strategy phase where we need to understand the cloud adoption from the business perspective. That's why you need to sit with all the stakeholders, you need to sit with all the people, all the technical people, non-technical people, to understand Do not just go with the words what customer says. You want to go to the cloud. Your first question is, why would you like to go to the cloud? What challenges are you trying to fix? What are your business outcome? And who all are going to impact? Who is responsible for the transition? These things will fall under the strategy phase. Okay. Now, we understood the strategy phase. Now the question comes, as per the slide, activities. What are the activities which are involved in this? Whereas, as we have already described, all those activities which we explained in the strategy to achieve those things. For example, motivations. We need to identify business motivations, such as explained earlier, increasing business agility or scaling as per demand or reducing operational cost. What are the motivations? These activities involved where we need to figure out the motivations by sitting with the stakeholders, application owners, business owners. And the business outcome, as I said, we need to figure out, we need to define. People say a lot of things, but you need to define in the documentation what outcome they're expecting, how we are going to measure it. For example, improving time to market, or increasing revenue, or enhance customer experience, perhaps improving operational efficiency, as I said earlier. And with the help of all those information, you to define the adoption strategy, develop a high-level approach to adopting the cloud that aligns with the business motivation and desired outcomes. These are the activities which are involved. These activities are simply aligned with the explanation of the strategy, right? And strategy is all about business stuff, business thing, as I explained. And these are the activities which are involved to get all that information from the business pillar of your cloud adoption framework. Now, let's take few examples just to understand it far better. That's why this is the best video you would have ever seen regarding the CAF. Examples will help us to understand. So let's say there is a retail company which might decide to move to the cloud to handle high variability in website traffic during sales and holiday season. Diwali is coming, right? With the desired outcomes of providing a consistently fast and reliable online shopping experience, the IT department and online retail managers will be involved in making this happen. So this is an example. Now, break it down into why, what, and who. Why? Holiday seasons, sales, spike, right? What? Consistently fast and reliable online shopping experience. That is the desired outcome. What? And who? IT department and online retail managers will be involved. Because online retail managers and IT department managers would be stick with the website, and IT how it will go nicely as per the traffic spiking up and down. So this is the example which could be easily broken down into why, what, and who, as we explained already in the strategy phase. Now you can put it, that's why we want to go to the cloud, because of we want to manage the traffic of spiking up and down during holiday seasons. We want to manage that much of traffic. That could be your strategy, one of the activity motivations, right? Let's take another example to understand it better. Let me do this. A manufacturing company might want to use the cloud to connect and analyze data from its machines to predict when they will need maintenance. That would be your why. The outcome they're looking for is reduced downtime and maintenance cost. What? Business outcome. The strategy will involve their operations team and data analysis. Who? I hope this example also help you to understand this strategy phase better. So now we know what is strategy, what, why, and who. We understand the activities involved in this, and examples made us understand till now. All right, fine. All these things are okay, but what are the benefits, what we are achieving by doing this? So very first thing is it ensures the cloud initiatives are aligned with the business goal. As I said, somebody's making the money. There is IT, that's why not a business. There is a business, that's why there is IT. So you need to align with the business goals. Otherwise, nobody's going to pay the bill for the IT and it's going to get closed. So you need to align with the business goals. So we need to understand why business want to do this, what he wants to do this. Then focus. Keep the organization focused on achieving business outcome rather than just the technology. Nobody just wants to break the application into multiple microservices and run for the sake of technology because it is available. We want to break the application, run into multiple microservices because we are getting something out of it, right? If it is more expensive, you don't want to do this. If it is less expensive and giving us better customer experience, of course, we are willing to do that, right? Focus. Then resource allocation. It helps in effectively allocating resources. Strategy, that's what you're doing. Once we have the plan in place, time, budget, and all the people who are involved, let them know proactively. Then stakeholders, because we need to get them on board, right? Because business wants to do something, they don't know how to achieve that technically, but technical people does. So they come up with the plan. Let's go with the cloud adoption. But there could be the disconnect where business do not understand cloud. So you need to make sure you explain and understand and get the stakeholders on board. Now, benefits are pretty much aligned. Now let's see some use cases. A lot of things will repeat, and I wanted this slide, this conversation, this video, because you want to understand each and every phase in such a way that we need not to go through it again. All right. Business expansion could be one of the use case. Companies looking to expand rapidly can leverage the cloud for quick scalability, right? Digital transformation, organizations aiming to modernize their application and services for better customer experiences. Cost management, of course, business seeking to move from CapEx to OpEx and reduce IT maintenance cost. These could be some use cases, which I'm pretty sure you might have seen in your regular day-to-day cloud customer interactions. Then, of course, let's see the importance of strategy discussion, because it's the foundational phase that sets the direction for your cloud adoption journey. By having a clear strategy, you ensure that the move to the cloud actually solves real business problems or captures opportunities. You help stakeholders understand why this change is happening and what the benefits will be, which is critical for gaining their support. You create a framework for measuring the success of your cloud adoption. All these things are overlapping, but I have to bifurcate. I have to do this kind of dissection to get this into our head in such a way that you can simply go and talk to any customer and get it done, right? Now, we understand the importance. We got the benefits, use case examples. What if we do not follow this strategy phase and simply go to the cloud? Because that's what we want to do. We want to achieve this. Let's go and do it because we know how to do it. What would happen? The very first thing, the benefit was alignment. So if you're not using it, there is a misalignment. The cloud adoption might not align. It will not align with the business objective, leading to wastage of money, wasted efforts and resources. Because ultimately it might look good for a month or two, but ultimately you have to get back to the square one. There's a lot of wastage. Lack of support, stakeholders might not understand or support the cloud initiatives, causing resistance or apathy. One of the benefit was Stakeholders, remember? Yeah. So we'll not get the support from the stakeholders. Does not matter how innovative we are, but if you're not following the proper path, we will lose the stakeholders, which means we'll lose the sponsorship, no money, no innovation, inefficiency. Without clear outcomes, you might not use the cloud efficiently, possibly incurring a higher cost or underutilized resources. And of course, there is a risk involved. There could be an increased risk of security, compliance, or operational failures if the move isn't strategically planned. Because a lots of team may be affected by this move, and ultimately you're hampering the business. Let's close this by summarizing. The strategy phase is like plotting your route on a map before starting a road trip. You decide where you want to go, why you are going there, what you hope to see along the way, and who will join you for the ride. Without this phase, you might end up driving in circles, wasting gas and time, and not enjoying your trip. I hope this makes sense. And we have enough examples, use cases, importance to talk about it whenever there is a conversation with the customers. So let's see, let's try to understand next phase, planning phase, with all the same kind of points. Plan. Let's plan it. Planning sets the stage for successful cloud adoption by aligning actionable plans to the strategy that we already been through. So what are the activities which are involved here? The very first is skills readiness. We need to assess the current skills of our team and identify the need for training or hiring or outsourcing or involving a cloud service provider or MSP, whosoever they call. Maybe you have the people who are well-versed, expert in the on-premises kind of infrastructure, but when you plan for the cloud, you got to have the cloud mind. So skills readiness, we need to understand that. We need to understand what we have. Do we have what is actually needed to align the actionable plans to the strategy? Then we need to craft a plan, cloud adoption plan, develop a detailed plan for adopting cloud services, including timelines, workloads, and resources. What all resources we need to move to the cloud? Will that be a greenfield? Will that be a hybrid? How much time we have? Will how much budget we have? All those things would be part of the plan. Then establish an initial set of governance best practices to guide the adoption process, because as I said, cloud mind. If you are not placing any governance model, it's a green field. Anybody can create anything anywhere in the world. So you should have the governance model in place in the plan. We are not touching the Azure as of now, in the plan. So imagine you run a company that sells handmade crafts, and you decide to expand your sales online. Your cloud adoption road trip, remember the strategy, summarization road trip. So your cloud adoption road trip involves moving your customer database and sales platform to the cloud to handle more traffic and sales. So here's how you might approach the planning phase. These are the example that we are trying to understand the planning phase. So very first is the roadmap creation. Keep with the analogy of road trip. We outline the specific steps to move our sales platform to the cloud. All right, this is what we'll do in the planning phase, much like planning our stops on a road trip. This might include when and how you will move the database, website, and payment system to the cloud. It's a roadmap creation that could be one of the in this particular example, activity of the plan phase. Skill assessment, as we said, so we will evaluate whether our team knows how to manage an e-commerce platform on the cloud, or we need to train the team if we have the time, or do we need to hire somebody on as a contractor or a third party. So that's another plan, activity of the plan. Then the governance planning, the activities we talked about, these are the part of this particular example that we took. We got to do the governance planning. So we decide on the rules for how our team will use cloud resources, similar to setting ground rules for how everyone should behave during the journey, right? No drink and drive, nobody stopping in the night and just running through the fields. No, no, no. We need to reach the destination, right? So stick to the rules. Then we need to ensure that our team understands and agrees with the plan, like making sure our family agrees to the road trips itinerary. Then finally, budget. We should figure out how much money we can spend on cloud services, just like setting a budget for gas, food, lodging on our trip. Similarly, for the Azure subscription, skill if we are hiring from outside, those kind of stuff. Because moving to the cloud, we got to have a cloud mind. What I mean by that, the technology is changing, the finance model is changing from capex to opex, right? So you have to plan that accordingly. Now, finally, see the benefits after we successfully complete the plan. What are the benefits we are getting out of this? As we have just completed our example, handmade crafts, online sales. So let's see what the benefits we are getting out of this plan. The very first is a good plan reduces the chances of unexpected issues. Do not just think as a plan of the CAF framework. Any plan that we do, just for like the road trip is an example, or anything else, unexpected issues, it will definitely reduce the unexpected issues. Because if you're planning for the road trip, you already check the stepney, right? There is a proper air pressure in the stepney or not? Do we have the proper equipment if something happens during, though it could, right, high availability if you have a stepney. By planning, we allocate resources effectively, right tools, team skills. If you take with the road trip example again, the things that I was talking about, the jack, the spare tire, fuel and everything. Cost control, a clear plan helps you avoid unnecessary expenses by choosing the most cost-effective route and services. So finding the best route to reach your destination. Of course, the road should be smooth. It should not be with the lots of, in our case, the migration or the movement should be smooth. And of course, we want to achieve the destination as soon as possible, because time is again something which we need to consider. Now, let's see some use cases. Migrating on-premises data center, which we see quite often. The plan helps in detailing the process of moving each application, server, or services to the cloud, the timing, and the order of migration. Order of migration is like waves. We are not migrating all the application in a go, because we don't know how the cloud works, right? Think it from the customer perspective. So what we are doing, we are just getting all the inventory in place. We are finding all the applications which are there, which needs to move to the cloud. Then we need to categorize. We do not want to move the mission critical application first, and we do not want to move something which is underutilized. We want to move something which is utilized, and of course it's not hampering anything. It will not hamper the business, right? So we want that kind of application. Even in case we get the issues, the downtime does not matter. But if we do not have the people who are using that application, we will not know what are the issues we are facing once the application move to the Azure. So we want non-mission critical application, but people are using it. So waves, we have to develop that, migration waves. Then the plan defines what needs to be developed, the cloud services that will be used, and the timeline for development and deployment. Why development? Because in case you are opting for not rehost but other, refactor, re-architect, rebuild, so you gotta think for the development. The plan ensures that all necessary compliance and security protocols are identified and integrated into the cloud setup. So these are some use cases. You can think for more as per your experience. You could share on the comment box below. But these things will make our plan great. And that is the reason plan is needed, because we want the migration should be great, right? So the plan phase is crucial because it aligns your cloud strategy with your business objectives, helps prevent cost overrun, ensure that you have the right skills in place, and sets clear expectations for what you aim to achieve, right? And all right, these are the things that we are getting out of it. What if we don't follow it? Of course, we will not get these things out of it, but of course, it will also hamper other stuff. The very first is, if we are not planning, we are overlooking the critical dependencies. That means we are moving to the cloud because we know how to move it, let's move it. But once everything is moved, you realized few of the applications just broke. Why? Because you could not figure it out, the critical dependencies. Cost overrun, because you choose on cloud, you can choose any VM you want, right? You can choose any service you want. Maybe you have chosen a huge VM, right? Because you don't know, you didn't plan. The thing which could be done with 6 gigs or 8 gigs of memory, you chose 150 or 180. Blunder, cost overruns. If you have not planned, but you have already started running resources on Azure so that you could migrate. Now you have not planned, so resources are running on premises and on the Azure as well. So you're paying both the side, right? Cost overruns. Now, if you are not planning properly, there would be definitely issues for the security and compliance, because you have not planned. Now you don't know who is going to access the cloud resources. Maybe you are just making the people directly access the VM on the Azure, right? You might find that your cloud environment isn't regulated or compliant with the industry regulations, because you have not planned for it, which can lead to legal issues, fines, and of course, bad word for your business. Nobody wants that. Without a coordinated plan, migrating to the cloud could disrupt your business, like a poorly planned road trip where you run out of gas in the middle of nowhere. I think that last point summarizes pretty well. So the plan phase helps you set your goals, budget your resources, and establish guidelines for a smooth and effective transition to the cloud, avoiding many potential pitfalls along the way. Planning is very important. All right, now we have strategy in place. We got a plan. Now what? Well, this is the time where we need to ready ourselves. What does that mean? That simply means we do not want to fall. We want our parachute to shoot. So the ready phase involves preparing the cloud environment for the plan changes. It's about preparing the cloud environment for the successful deployment of workloads. This involves setting up the foundational infrastructure that will support cloud services in a way that aligns with an organization's technical requirement and governance standards. We call landing zone. So if that is what we are going to do in this phase, what are the activities which are involved? The very first thing is environment setup. We need to set up the cloud environment with the required subscription models, network security, identity and access management in place. Landing zone implementation. Yes, create a landing zone that provides a pre-configured environment based on the company's requirement and governance standards. So if everything is pre-configured, you need not to worry once the landing zone in place that people can overrun the cost, or people can deploy the resources, because everything is in place. It is pre-configured. Configure the identity and access control mechanisms. All those things would be the part of the activities under the ready phase, which could be easily summarized under the landing zone, because everything is a part of the landing zone where your workload is going to land after the migration. So we have to prepare the proper platform where they can land, proper environment. And in the next video, we are going to dissect the landing zone with each and every point in the design area. All right, so do not worry. If you are interested in the landing zone, if you're interested this kind of video for the landing zone, we are going to give it to you. So in simple words, think of ready phase as preparing the ground before building a house. Before you can start construction, you need to ensure that the land is stable, the utilities are connected, and the permits are in order. Similarly, before you migrate your application and data to Azure, you need to make sure that the cloud environment is properly configured, secure, and ready to support your operations. Let's take a few examples. Setting up a landing zone. This is like laying down the plot for your house with all necessary connections for water, electricity, and sewage. In Azure, a landing zone is the initial configuration of your cloud environment with network, security, and identity management services in place. The very fine example could be a finance service company sets up landing zone that complies with the financial industry regulations. You have the policies, just through the policy, apply the policies on the right hierarchy, management, subscription, ensuring that all data is encrypted and access is tightly controlled. So it means even by mistake, you cannot just put the data like this. It will be encrypted, or it will not be there, right? Now, let's take an example of configuring identity and access management. Just as you would need locks and keys for the doors in your new house, in Azure, you need to ensure that only authorized personnel can access certain resources. This is managed through services like Azure Active Directory. Example, a healthcare provider configures Azure AD to manage user identities and implement multi-factor authentication to protect sensitive patient data. That could be a wonderful example, because a healthcare, it needs to protect its sensitive data, and Azure AD can help it doing this. And of course, applying IAM. All right, so let's see the benefits for ready phase. I guess you will enjoy and you will understand ready phase in the next video, where we are going to dissect the landing zone in all the 8 design areas of landing zone. So for now, just stick to the CAF and check the benefits. The very first is security and compliance. This ready phase ensures that the cloud environment adheres to the security standards because it is pre-configured. We planned it, we updated it in our template and compliance requirements from the start, just like the financial industry example we took. It helps avoid unexpected cost by setting up budgeting and monitoring too early in the process. That is again pre-configured. We have applied the rules and regulations on the subscription. It will not go beyond this cost. If it goes, it will start triggering the alerts to us before that, once the 90% of budget is done or the 80% is done. And similarly, the policies in place where people cannot just simply spin up anything. They can only see or spin up on which they have the access to or rights to. Because as I said, it's like an open market. Once you have the Azure portal, you can spin up anything, but somebody is going to pay for it. So we do not want to spin up anything. We only want to spin up which is required, needed, and we have the access to, right? And this ready phase creates an organized and well-managed environment that supports reliable and efficient operations. Operational excellence, this is one of the pillar of WAF, right? And scalability, of course. These things will help us during the ready phase. And that's why it is very important. It helps us to reduce the risk by having a solid foundation. Organization minimize the risk of downtime, security breaches, and compliance issue or human errors. uh, it streamlines the process of deploying resources, avoiding the need to go back and fix issues with configuration or compliance. For example, you do not have the proper thing in place, and you just keep on deploying the database. The example of the database, patient healthcare, you need to encrypt it. But once you have the governance in place, either the data would be encrypted or it will not be there. So you are just saving time, right? And it makes the subsequent phase of cloud adoption smoother, because where we are going to land is all hunky-dory, well, good, ready to accept the workload. Now, if we do not follow this phase, it's pretty clear what all problems we're going to face, like security vulnerabilities, compliance issues, increased cost, and operational inefficiency. So all the benefits we are getting, all the importance that we talked about of ready phase will be ruined. So security, compliance, cost, operational inefficiency would be the result if we are not following this phase. So, in summary, the ready phase is essential because it lays the groundwork for a secure, compliant, and efficient cloud environment. Neglecting this phase can lead to lots of issues that could compromise the success of cloud adoption and potentially impact the overall business. Remember, we are doing everything because there is a business that we need to run, or somebody else is running, we're going to support. If you are not directly involved, of course. So stay with me, do not just sleep. We have to adopt it now. We have the business objectives, we have the strategy, we have planned, now we have ready. Now it's time to adopt it. It's time to migrate. So adoption, this phase is where actually implementation happens, deploying workloads to the cloud. Okay, landing zone is there already. Now we are implementing our workloads, right? Deploying workloads to the cloud. In simpler terms, this is a doing phase where you start moving applications, data, and workloads to the cloud or Azure. Or it could be greenfield. Do not think you have to go this phase. You can opt for any phase in between. We just need to streamlining just so that we could understand, right? So that's why it could be greenfield as well. So let's suppose it's migration. So what would be the activities? Migrate. We need to execute migrations of existing application or infrastructure to the cloud. We talked about previous examples, movement of the websites, data, things like that. So that activity is there because we have already planned everything. We know what application we need to move. We know whether it would be rehost or refactor. And of course, during adopt, we can also think for these R strategies for the migration. Okay, we can have that thing during planning. We can also talk about those things here as well. Then innovate is one of the activity that we can think of. I think we should talk about migrate and innovate separately. Then establish operational management and optimize resources for cost, performance, and scalability. That would be another activity which could be the part of adoption. Let's take an example I was talking about. It could be, I'm talking about adoption now. The example of adoption, what sense? Our strategy. We could be adopting by just lifting and shifting, rehosting the application. We could be just adopting by doing little tweaking in our application database, like refactoring or re-architecture. We're just redesigning the application, making it microservices, or maybe we are rebuilding cloud absolutely from the cloud native or cloud mind with all the functions and logic apps or event driven architecture. If there is a legacy application, it could not be moved, or maybe just replacing it with the SaaS services, or maybe we are just retiring it, because once you do the planning phase, you would know that there could be applications which nobody's using, so you do want to retire them as well. I have faced this question in my interview where there was a tricky question where simply the interviewer asked me. It was like 4 years back, or maybe 5 years back, when I joined the rec space. You all already know. The interviewer simply asked, after all that migration assessment, you realize this particular application nobody is using it, and you cannot move it to the cloud because it's legacy or very less usage. So I need to think for a while. Then I thought, why not retire it, or maybe put it there on the on-premises if it is going to be hybrid. Anyways, let's stick to the plan and talk about the benefits of adoption. Well, what are the benefits? By moving to the Azure, organization can reduce the cost. Okay. Now, these are the benefits of adopting the cloud. Okay, so cost, scalability, innovation, global reach. You need not to go and get the visa and hire the people in different countries and build your office there. You can do it simply from the Azure portal for your IT. So global reach is there, and security and compliance, because modern technology with these modern way of utilizing it, cloud has multiple wonderful tools for the security and all those things. Compliance, automation are there that you could utilize. So these are the benefits which will help your business to do better, more, right? And we take some use cases which will help us to just cement all that knowledge. A financial services firm could adopt Azure to improve the performance and security of its transaction processing systems. I told you security, right? Or retail company might use Azure to create more scalable e-commerce platform. Scalability, told you about the benefits of cloud. Then, of course, you can think for a healthcare provider where we took the same example before. Analyze patient data securely while complying with the health regulations, because you have those compliance in place. You can have applied pre-configured, like if something gonna be like this, it's gonna be like this. So these are some use cases where you could get the benefits what cloud adoption giving us, just putting those two things together. And following the adopt phase is critical, because it's where the theoretical benefits of cloud computing becomes real. Without it, an organization wouldn't realize the value from its cloud investment. It's the execution part of the strategy and planning phase. If you're not adopting, you might be running all the resources duplicacy, right, on premises on Azure, because you're unable to migrate or you're unable to fail over. All right. So in short, the adoption phase is where plans are executed and value is created. It's a complex process that requires careful management to ensure that the transition to the cloud or the development of new cloud native applications delivers on the promise of the cloud computing. And we took the example of the migrate as of now, because we have most of the customers which are coming from the on-premises to the cloud, but we should not ignore the innovate as well, because cloud is offering thousands of things, right? So once you have migrated to the cloud, the innovate phase involves taking advantage of the cloud native features to transform your applications and create new solutions that were not possible or practical with on-premises technologies. One of them is big data or AI or ML. That's the reason it's a buzzword nowadays. So let's take an example. After migrating to the cloud, the same company starts using Azure AI and machine learning services to add intelligent recommendations for their users, creating more personalized experience. Now you have the available modules for the AI and Azure machine learning. Even you have the studio where you need not to be aware of so many codes of developing models. You can simply use the algorithms through the studio, even if you don't know anything about those algorithm writing code, but you can still utilize the machine learning through Azure Studio. So what are the benefits of innovation? Of course, all the benefits that Azure provides, but if you are actually innovating with the cloud native approach, it will increase the agility. It will definitely enhance the customer experience, minimize the cost, because you're running as a cloud native. You're just not spinning up the VM and doing it. You're making your application run as cloud native. So it will definitely help you minimize the cost. It will give you the competitive advantage because you are adopting the DevOps practices and the cloud native approach. So time to market is minimizing. And because of that, you're continuously improving because you are working on the latest and the greatest technology available in your hands, and developing a new uh, IoT platform that uses Azure IoT Hub for real-time data processing could be an example here. Latest and greatest technology made me think for the IoT or big data, as I said. So innovation in the cloud opens up new business opportunities and can lead to the development of products and services that offer significant competitive advantages. So governance ensures that all cloud services and workloads adhere to the company's policies and compliance requirements. It is about establishing and maintaining controls that ensure your cloud operations align with your organization's security, compliance, financial, and operational policies, because you're governing it, right? It's essential a system of checks and balances that help you manage and mitigate risks while reaping the benefits of the cloud. And because of the cloud, we have all those things in place. You could utilize those features, those tools of this platform. Even in the DevOps practices, you have those things and govern your environment. Now, it's like, let's see the activities that it will make more sense. For example, policy implementation. Policy is one of the tools that will help you to govern your Azure environment. We got to define and implement policies for resource consistency, security, compliance, and cost management, where we are applying the policies, what people can do or cannot do, whether they can use the particular region, whether they can use the particular VM or resources, things like that. And audit, compliance audit. We can easily conduct audits to ensure workloads comply with the industry regulation and company policy, because it provides us those dashboards after running the policies as per the current environment, how the current environment is running, and give us the wonderful picture on the dashboard. And we have Azure blueprints, we have logs, we have RBACs, IAMs in place, which can help us to apply the proper governance as per our industry. So in simple words, think of governance phase as setting up rules and guidelines for a community to keep everything running smoothly. In the context of Azure, this means defining how your cloud environment should be managed to prevent issues like overspending, security vulnerability, or non-compliance with laws and regulations. In order to understand it a little deeper, though it makes perfect sense, but still, let's take a few examples. Like in cost management, what we can do: budgets, cost management, setting budgets and alerts to avoid unexpected expenses. For instance, if a team accidentally creates a large VM, cost management governance would trigger alerts to prevent blowing through the budget. Ensuring all resources are tagged and named consistently so that they can be easily managed and understood. You can have the policies. If tags are not applied, it will not allow you to deploy the resources. And of course, security baseline, applying a minimum standard of security across all resources, such as ensuring MFA for all users and ensuring all data is encrypted at rest, at least at rest, is security baseline. And then the points that we talked about are the benefits: cost control, security assurance, compliance, and operational excellence. Because why? Because of the governance. Let's take some use cases where the governance is helping us. You can easily relate what I'm going to talk about. A healthcare company using Azure to store patient data could implement governance to ensure that all data storage complies with HIPAA regulations. We have all those policies there in Azure. You can simply pick it up and apply on your subscription, like having a proper encryption and access control. A retail business might use governance to monitor and control spending across different departments, preventing teams from inadvertently using more resources than budgeted. Or let's pick in another example. If you're done with the retail or healthcare, a software company could enforce security baseline across their development and production environment to ensure that sensitive IPs are always protected. Right. Okay, so now what would happen if it's not followed? All those things we talked about, like cost, security, or operational, there would be a chaos. Cost will overrun, there would be security incidents, you will not meet your compliance, and operations will be haywire. So in short, governance phase is about protecting risk management in your cloud journey, ensuring that you can enjoy the benefits of cloud computing without failing into common pitfalls. So with that, it's time to manage, because we have we have the strategy, we planned as per the strategy, we ready everything on the Azure, then we did the adoption, and the governance is happening simultaneously, and finally you got to manage because everything is running on the Azure. So managing the cloud environment is an ongoing phase that focuses on maintaining operational health. It involves maintaining the health, security, performance, and cost effectiveness of the cloud environment. It's not a one time done thing, it's ongoing stuff. So the activities involve like cost management optimization. You need to regularly review and optimize your cloud spend, optimize your security, optimize your performance, your compliance, security. Azure provides multiple tools for it, like Azure Advisor, and it used to call Security Center, but now Microsoft Defender portal. You can see that particular dashboard there, which will help you. You can take the benefit of those tools to manage it regularly. It's not a one-time thing. You can keep on managing, keep on reviewing, because things are changing every other day. You need to keep an eye on it, and you have the tools in place to help you. So let's try understand with some example. Imagine that moving to the cloud is like moving into a new house. Now we are not building it, we are just moving it. So the manage phase is about keeping the house in good shape after you're moved in. Just like you need to regularly clean, pay bills, fix things, and break and make sure it's secure, you need to do similar task on your cloud environment so that it will run smoothly. And the example is, of course, from CapEx to OpEx. So cost will always there. Monitoring your cloud spending to ensure you stay within the budget, just like keeping track of household expenses to avoid overspending. Making sure your cloud services are running fast and efficiently. Similar to making sure your home appliances are working well. Adjusting resources to match your needs, like turning off lights in rooms you're not using to save in electricity, but in cloud we are saving cost, not wasting it. It is also a good practice from the sustainability point of view, because we all love our mother earth. Keeping your data safe in the cloud is like having locks and a security system at your home. So this makes perfect sense. And if we follow the managed plan, we can definitely reduce our cost, we can definitely improve the performance, security, and there would be an assurance for the compliance. And and these are the important things that we'll get out of this phase, right? And if we are not following it, then we are blowing all these benefits that we are getting out of this phase. Our cloud environment could become more costly. We could experience downtime or slow performance. We might fall victim to security breaches leading to data loss, failing to maintain compliance, and there could be a legal action. So in summary, manage phase is critical for ensuring that your investment in the cloud is secure, cost efficient, and delivers the performance your organization is looking for, and meeting the customer expectation. Neglecting this phase can lead to significant problems that can be costly and damaging to an organization's operations and reputation. You need to go to manage phase. It doesn't matter whether it's cloud or not. You have to have manage things, but in cloud it is more important. Cloud mindset, told you at the very beginning. Now, without wasting any more time, I know it's too much, but the last phase is optimize phase. Let's wrap it up with the optimize. This phase is not always listed as a part of the main phases, just like govern. If you see the first slide I showed you, manage and governance with the whole pipeline. So it is again one of the phase which is not listed, but it is very important. It ensures that the right teams are in place. Okay. This involves why right teams? Because only right team can optimize it. This involves regular assessments and adjustment to ensure the cloud infrastructure and applications are cost effective, secure, reliable, and performing optimally. It overlaps with the manage, but manage focuses more on their like regular activities of operations, but optimize specifically focuses on how can we optimize our Azure environment. How can we make sure everything is working efficiently, but we are not wasting anything. Okay. So for that, of course, we need to have rules and responsibilities in place. Like RBAC, we should have cloud center of excellence in place, so that we have a centralized place where we have all the governance best practices, all the cloud experts which can help us, guide us to optimize it. We should have trainings in place if required. In simple terms, think of the optimized phase like a routine health checkup for your cloud environment. After you move into new house, the same analogy, you would want to keep it in a good shape by periodically checking if everything works as expected. Optimizing, you might want to ensure you are not spending too much electricity, that the locks are secure and the heating system is efficient, because winter is coming. So optimizing is, we want to get the maximum output from the money that we are spending. Let's put it in a very simple terms. And we could have the same kind of examples. A company realizes that they are over provisioning resources, leading to unnecessary cost. By analyzing usage patterns, they downsize or shut down the named or unused resources, like the development resources. They might need to run maybe 8 or 10 hours a day, and take advantage of reserve instance for production environment, where they know at least these VM will be running for sure 24/7, if the application has a vision of 5 or 10 or 15 years. And of course, Azure hybrid benefit is there to utilize cost savings. Performance tuning, you can think from the perspective of performance tuning. That is again a part of optimize. And e-commerce website, making an example for the performance. And an e-commerce website, let's suppose, monitors their Azure based application and finds that during peak hours the response time increases. They optimize their application by scaling out their Azure app services and using Azure Redis cache for improve the load times. You can optimize, because it's optimized is not always about reducing the money, but you have to take care of the performance as well, right? That is what the optimization is. And of course, security and enhancement, because for security enhancement, let's take an example again. My mind goes only these 3-4 things. A financial services or firm conducts regular security audits and finds that some storage accounts are publicly accessible. They remediate this by adjusting networking security groups and access policies, private endpoint, things like that. So the whole point is we got to optimize it, right? And if we do the proper review, proper assessment, keep on optimizing, it's again not a one-time thing. You need to keep on optimizing your environment so we can be more cost effective or We can improve the performance, enhance the security, and maintaining our compliance, or anything, any such sort of things. So without optimized phase, a cloud environment can become inefficient and costly. For instance, you might keep paying for unused resources, miss opportunities to improve application performance, or expose yourself to security vulnerabilities. So that's why it's very important. Now, in essence, I'm repeating a lot of things, but it's important to understand. So, in essence, the optimized phase is about ensuring that your investment in the cloud continues to pay off, keeping everything running smoothly, securely, and in a cost effective manner without compromising the performance. With this, I think we have covered all the phases of Azure CAF as detailed as possible with all the examples, use cases. With that, let's close this video, and I hope this will helpful and informative. Thank you for watching. Let's meet in another video where we'll be dissecting landing zones. Take care and